conservative point of view to black issues. His mission: to provide a forum for honest discussions about social issues without the liberal lapdogs shutting down the discussion. Broadcasting from the American Truth Project Studios in beautiful Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. This is Conservative Nation with your host, Jermain Botsio.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Conservative Nation with me, your gracious host, Jermain Botsio. And on today's show, you guys know what the deal is. I got the one, the only mind of Jamal, the dancing. Jamal, how are you doing, brother?
What's up, Jermain? How you doing? Of course, this Tuesday. Hello, everybody on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, my Rumble Rebels. How you doing?
Oh yeah, it looked like everybody doing quite well. I could tell you that. A lot of folks out here have been waiting for the show. Jamal, let me tell you something. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. A lot of folks waiting. They waiting right now. And let me tell you something. I'm ready to rock. I've been waiting for a while. We got some very, very good topics. And let me tell you something. We about to get busy. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you do your due diligence. All right. Don't treat us like a side chick. Don't you do it. I know some of y'all out there are crazy like that. I know. Don't you do it. You treat us with respect. You make sure you hit that like button. You make sure you share, because that is the only way, ladies and gentlemen, that we can get seen. The only way that we can get the word out. Okay? The only way. The only way. So hit that like button and make sure you share. Jamal, buddy, you ready to rock, sir?
I'm ready to flame. Got home. Let me make sure my blowtorch. Let me make sure my flamethrower working. I'm ready.
Oh yeah. It looked like you ready too. Let's get rocking. First one up here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to go ahead here and revisit a story that we spoke about the other day, and it dealt with a shooting, a police shooting here in Minneapolis. Shooting of a young black man by the name of Amir Locke. He was sleeping in an apartment that was on a list to be raided. He wasn't on the search warrant, but he was in the apartment sleeping there. He had a weapon, which was a firearm that he was sleeping with. He was awakened abruptly. He pulled his firearm and he was shot and killed. This story has taken off with new legs. We have Benjamin Crump representing the family. Remember I told you they were coming, ladies and gentlemen. Al Sharpton, he on his way. I think he already purchased his ticket. He's already on the way. NAACP, Nakima, Levy Pounds, black woman, big ass hair hat, dark purple lipstick, out of control woman, running her mouth. It's hell all over again. It is. I want to go ahead and run this clip when it come back. I want to get your take on this, Jamal, because it seems like every time we get, these type of police shootings, and let's be honest, black folks aren't the only color folks being shot. There's Asians being shot. Apu and them are being shot. Shoot, an African brother down the street the other day got shot. They're not getting this type of attention, but it seems like only one type of people, classification of folks, mainly nigger, getting this type of attention like this, being thrown in the mix. Let me go ahead and run it. Here we go. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share.
Outrage filling the streets of Minneapolis following the police shooting of 22-year-old Amir Locke. He was killed when a SWAT team executed a no-knock warrant, burst into a Minneapolis apartment, and police body cam footage actually shows it all unfolding. Locke's parents are now speaking out as protesters demand justice. ABC's Alex Perez is in Minneapolis with the latest.
Demonstrators demanding answers over the weekend in Minneapolis about the police killing of 22-year-old Amir Locke. Police body cam video captures officers as they use a key to quietly enter this apartment and then announce themselves. Locke appears to be asleep under a blanket and startled awake. Police say he had a gun in his hand when an officer opened fire within 9 seconds of entering, killing Locke. We've paused the difficult-to-watch video. Locke's heartbroken parents talking to ABC News overnight.
He didn't have the intent to hurt those officers. He wasn't even awake.
That he was my second born. He was a beautiful baby boy. He was very respectful and caring. Everybody that came in contact with him loved him.
Loved ones say Locke legally owned the gun seen in his hand and was a responsible owner.
He researched everything, very intelligent on Amir's part before he even purchased the kind of gun that he wanted. And he made sure that it was licensed with a permit.
The officers were carrying out a no-knock warrant for a homicide investigation in St. Paul, but Locke, who does not live in the apartment, was not listed on that warrant. Many jurisdictions across the country have banned no-knock warrants, but the attorney for the family of Amir Locke believes the practice must be halted nationwide.
No-knock warrants have deadly consequences.
The officer who fired his weapon has been identified as Mark Hanneman. He's been placed on paid administrative leave. Locke's family now calling for his dismissal.
After seeing that video of my son being executed because he was sleeping on a couch at a family member's house, at this time, I would like to see him fired.
Joining us now with more, Alex Perez there on the ground in Minneapolis. So, Alex, the Minneapolis City Council is set to actually review these no-knock warrants later today following this shooting. Since there will be no votes or anything like that happening just yet, what can we expect to come of this, you think?
Well, Kara, this meeting is sort of the first step as we look forward to change, some sort of change here. The city council here calling for legal scholars who have studied no-knock warrants and other types of warrants, and also activists to come in and have a voice and listening to all of these people. So, you know, a lot of times when it comes to making change, governmental change, it starts with some of these meetings as they gather that information. But the mayor here has already issued an immediate moratorium on no-knock warrants, Kira. So there's been that change already. But I want to give you an idea of what it looked like outside that city council meeting, Kira. Take a look at this. You can see a group of moms, activists, gathered there outside city council. They say they want accountability. They want to see change, and they're determined to keep fighting, to keep protesting, to sort of keep showing up until there is some positive change made, Kira.
Well, Locke's parents, as you mentioned, the Wells, they say that their son was, quote, executed after he was startled from a deep sleep, in addition to calling for the firing of the police officer. So what are the next steps for the family?
Yeah, Kara, the family just heartbroken here. They say he legally owned that gun. He had purchased it recently, they said, because he's a DoorDash delivery guy and he thought he needed it to feel more protected as he's making some of those deliveries. They have hired attorney Ben Crump, who many of us have gotten to know now over the last couple of years because he's represented a lot of these high-profile police shooting deaths. And the family says they're determined for accountability in this case. They want to see the officer who fired his weapon dismissed, fired from the force, and they also want to see charges brought forward here. As far as those criminal charges, we know the prosecutor's office here says they are reviewing this case, but there's been no announcement from their part just yet, Kira.
Final question. Since that incident on February 2nd, there have been several protests. As you know, Alex, last night a caravan of 50-plus cars actually drove through Minneapolis to what's believed to be the home of the interim police chief. The community clearly outraged right now.
Yeah, Kara, I think we've seen some of this outrage across the country, but here in Minneapolis, it's a little different. As we know, this is where George Floyd took his last breaths, and this city has been through a lot over the last couple of years. And even in the bitter cold, I think the message is being made very clear. People here, activists, the community in general, they want to see change, and they want to see discussions happen. They don't want things to be swept under the rug, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many people come forward and continuing this conversation, because they're afraid that if they don't, nothing will happen, Kira.
All right, Alex Perez. Alex, thanks so much.
Bow. Let me go ahead and stop it right there. So, Jamal, the issue that we're having here is that this young man, he was sleeping in this apartment there. This apartment is a part of a criminal investigation. All right. This apartment complex, and the apartment specifically that he is in. He was sleeping. Apparently they're saying that the gun he had was registered. So he was a registered owner of the vehicle, of the gun, and apparently he had it because he was scared of niggas trying to rob him during the DoorDash, because that's what they do around here. What do you think about this situation, this no-knock situation? Do you think that, these folks have a right to be upset and mad? What is your take on this?
Okay, Jermain, this is kind of difficult because number one, I see two people both doing the right thing, and it's just two people doing the right thing. The results was someone died because number one, they were in there looking for a murder suspect.
Yep.
They weren't in there looking for marijuana, which they have a right to kick the door in because what a no-knock warrant is for. And I would like to thank Miss Lowly Ryder. Miss Lowly Ryder, thank you for your kindness and generosity and your donation to the page through PayPal. Jermain, the no-knock warrant is so you won't destroy evidence. The no-knock warrant is for you to come in surprised because there's a good chance you may be shot at back. The Supreme Court has already upheld no-knock warrants. They already said under certain circumstances,
it's needed. Yep.
It's needed. But you have to strenuously prove that to a judge.
There you go.
People make it sound like you walk in there, hey, I need a no-knock warrant. All right, here you go. No, it's not like that. They have to show evidence. They have to show proof. They have to show intelligence. They have to give everything to say when they kick that door in, they're going to find drugs, a suspect, whatever. That's what it's for. This young man did everything right. He purchased his firearm.
Yep.
He was working, but he was sleeping in the house where someone was a known murderer. Now, and this is what I said. If people want to get mad, be mad at the murderer. Be mad at the person who committed a violent criminal act, didn't tell his friend about it, let him sleep all in there, knowing he was looking for the police is going to be possibly looking for him.
Yep.
Now, I stand by what I say. I say this. The police were not wrong. He was not either, because if somebody kick a door in where you're at, and you know it's a bad area, because see, that let you know he know that black folk robbing and killing black folk. So
yeah, that's why I told you.
When he grabbed his gun, he was like, uh-oh, something going on. So both are right. No one did anything maliciously.
There you go. It really comes down to, Jamal, the way I look at this, it really comes down to, just looking at the facts here. He was sleeping in an apartment that was part of a search warrant. They were going through the apartment complex, and the apartment he was sleeping in was part of this no-knock search warrant. The young man doesn't have a criminal record. I look for it. He doesn't have a criminal record.
Nope.
He purchased his gun legally. He's a registered gun owner. The thing is, and I tell folks this all the time, this is the main reason why in the black community you have to start speaking out against criminality. In the black community, more than likely, you're going to be friends with people who are criminals, robbers, and killers. Ain't that right, Jamal?
Oh, God, yes.
You are. So you're going to always be in the midst of some sort of criminal investigation when you're hanging out with a lot of mainstream blacks because, that's their lifestyle. And when you're hanging out and you're not saying the important things like, hey, we might need to tell on this person. We might need to do this. We might need to do that. What you do is you immerse yourself amongst the criminals. And what do they say? Birds of a feather flock together. Ain't that right?
Yes, birds of a feather flock together. You ain't never seen no duck with no eagle and no goose with no owl.
There you go. So it all comes down to association, and I think most black folks don't understand that. You basically turn out the way, around the people you associate, I should say. If you associate with a lot of folks that are into the lifestyle, sooner or later you're going to get caught up. And this is the main reason why I always tell black folks you have to do the right thing. Jamal, what do you think about that? Because, I think he was caught up, hanging around folks who are in that lifestyle, and a lot of young black folks do that, even though they're not criminals themselves, they may hang out with their cousin who's a dope dealer. They might hang out with another cousin who's a booster. You get what I'm saying, Jamal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you say to that? Last words here, sir.
Jermain, what's so hurtful? What's so bad about this? This is one of those things that you don't know if it could really been avoided or not. His friend didn't tell him he was being warned. It's like, Jermain, if you come to North Carolina and I'm like, Jermain, hey, come stay with me. Now, if you don't know, I got 40 pounds of cocaine, $200,000, 6 illegal guns, and a stripping midget. If you don't know I got all that, and I don't tell you all this that I have going on, and somebody kick in the door and you don't know, you may grab your gun. That makes what happened to you my fault.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. The young man did everything possible to do to avoid trouble, but you can't, you forget the nigger factor.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I think is going to happen is that since the video is out there right now, Jamal, the legality behind it right now is they're hinging on this video, the family of him sleeping there, and then before he was shot, from the angle of the video that is being shown, it looks like Amir was holding the pistol, but it was pointed down before he was shot. It just, and in that split second situation there, You know, you're a cop, you burst into an apartment you never seen before, right? One of your colleagues, your cohorts kicks, you know, the couch there, and somebody, you know, bursts up with all you see is somebody with a weapon. You get what I'm saying? Somebody's going to shoot. I mean, you know, that's just the nature of the business there. Somebody's going to shoot. I mean, you're not just going to allow the person to burst up with a weapon and not do it. I mean, it's not going to happen like that. So somebody's going to shoot. And this is where they are hinging on, because what they're saying is that the family said that, hey, he had every right to be sleeping, every right to own and hold the firearm any way he wanted. And based upon this no-knock warrant is the main reason why he was, you know, basically he had every legal right. And, you know, Jamal, you know where it comes down to. He had a legal right to sleep there, no matter if it was a, you know, crime infested, whatever. He had a legal right to sleep there. So it's going to be some, you know, some back and forth when it comes down to if he actually pointed the gun and he was a threat to the officers, which it's very hard to tell. It is. I've seen the angle. In my personal opinion, it looked like it was down, but still, even if it was down and you flash the gun, you're gonna get shot. If it was me and I'm bursting up in there, I'm gonna shoot ya. If I want to go home to my wife and kids, I don't want you know what I'm saying, Jamal. So it's a very tight situation, and these people are trying to make it more than what it is. It's nothing to do with it being racial. It has everything to do with the procedure of how everything goes down. And I think that's what needs to be addressed. Let's go ahead and move forward. Make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button. Make sure you share. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to two folks who just donated here. First one I want to give out to is, and let me pull this up here. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my guy, Ron G. Gusto. Shout out to Ron G. Gusto. Shout out to you. And I also want to give a shout out to Lowly Ryder. Shout out to Lowly Ryder. Absolutely. Shout out to y'all. Let's go ahead and move forward. Next one up here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and speak about Democrat Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. As you guys know, Chicago is land of the criminals, right?
Criminal.
You can't get around it. Criminales, they are running around. And let me tell you something. The crime rate is still increasing. It is. Since Chicago is on what they call remote learning for the children, they have seen an increase in crime. And you know what Lori Lightfoot is saying? She's saying that the increase in crime and the increase in carjacking is because of the children. Remote learning. Instead of them being home learning, they're learning how to steal cars and do crime. Let me go ahead and run this when it come back. I want to get your take on this. Here we go.
There was a correlation that we believe between remote learning and the rise in carjacking. Look, we started seeing this rise in cases in 2020, and I'll be frank and say in Chicago, there was a correlation that we believe between remote learning and the rise in carjacking. having talked to state's attorneys who were dealing with these cases in juvenile court and others, a lot of parents went to work during the day thinking their teenagers were logged on for remote learning, only to find something else. And I asked, is there some new market for stolen cars? And unfortunately, the answer was no, that for many of these kids, some of whom had no prior involvement in the criminal justice system, this was pure boredom. But we're way past that point now, and we've got to bend the curve on this issue.
So there you go, Jamal. What they're saying and what Lori Lightfoot is saying, and her Democrat cohorts, they're running around and saying that, hey, remote learning is to blame. When the parents are at work, instead of little Timmy and Jamar Quavius sitting there learning about math, they out there counting a lot of cars, seeing how many they gonna steal, Jamal. My goodness gracious. I mean, my goodness, I think they learning a real world lesson. How to sit there and take advantage of folks who are dumb and retarded, because I think this remote learning, what they're doing is dumb and retarded. They need to go back to class. What do you think about this here, Jamal?
Well, Jermain, before I start, I want to thank the beautiful Mother Dixie. Mother Dixie, thank you for your kindness and generosity through Cash App. Mwah. I love you, Mother Dixie.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on? Simple and plain. Remote learning, this is her fault.
Yep.
This is Lori Lightfoot fault. They listened to the teachers' unions in Chicago about the
mask
virus.
mandates and stuff. Yep.
And the kids who were thugging, already graduating through thuggatry, saw them as a bunch of weaklings, and they used this to commit crime. They should have been. Chicago was already bad enough without putting the kids on the street.
Yep.
Now you're going to sit here and put them in the street where they're not learning, not getting an education, and things are getting worse. Now, real quick, you notice how those who claim about systemic racism and white supremacy won't educate their children during this time they had alone.
Well,
they could have been sitting there educating their children and getting their kids away from crime, getting their families away from crime and doing stuff. But no, couldn't do that. They had to sit there and they had to, okay, you finished with your homework, your mom, okay, go out in the streets and play. And there go the drug dealers and the gangbangers like this.
Yep.
Come into our arms. The schools should have been open the beginning of this year, back in September. But the teachers' unions who bossed the CDC kept the classrooms closed. Matter of fact, they should have been back in schools when they saw those who were more at risk from the China virus, because it comes from China, compared to those who won't. This was a gamble to have the most fairest election we ever had with Joe Biden, with former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden. This was wrong.
Oh. You're absolutely correct on this one right here. They should have kept the students in the classroom. That's what they should have done, instead of them doing this type of nonsense. But they didn't do it because they were trying to push a narrative. This notion that parents were at work and then all of a sudden that, the students decided to go buck wild at home. I don't believe that at all. A lot of those parents are on Section 8. Chicago's a Section 8 city. So a lot of those black mamas were at the crib, either smoking weed or on their back, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. You get what I'm saying, Jamal?
Creating another one.
Absolutely. Adding another one to the Democratic voting list. And I'm trying to tell conservatives, right? I'm trying to let you know. The more baby mamas, single mamas you have in America, the more Democrat voters they produce.
Yep.
Through and through. Do you think single mama want to vote for the Republican Party? Republican ain't giving nothing to a single mama. But the Democrat, absolutely. Absolutely, she voted for the Democrat Party. And she going to have more kids and influence them to vote for the Democrat Party.
Yep, mama need that check.
I'm telling you. The single mamas breed more than the traditional mamas. Right
that is
now.
So true.
It's through the roof. Jamal, even white Americans, they have decreased in having children. Do you know that the rate right now for white Americans to have children is 1.2? 1.2 children. That's wild. I'm telling you. Now, when we speak about married couples, it's a little bit bigger than that, but not by that much. So people are decreasing when they get married, having children, but yet the single folks are having children through the roof, Jamal.
The ones who can't afford it is having the most.
There you go. Last words on this here, sir.
The ones who can't afford to have the children are having it. The ones who can't afford to be careless with the Sergeant Sausage and Petty Officer Poontang. The ones who cannot afford to be irresponsible with the bedroom yoga and the bedroom maneuvers are the ones who are most irresponsible.
Yep.
They're creating future Democrat, broke, need a help, brother. Ooh, y'all fighting for us like you're fighting for my mama, you fought for my daddy, Democrat voters.
Through and through. You can't even get around it. You just can't even get around. That's why I tell conservatives, you got to wake up. The welfare system is a machine for the Democrat Party. They know that if they can break up the family and they can keep that woman alone, right, through influence and through policy, let me tell you something, she will pump out Democrat children like a farm. Let me tell you. Jimmy voted. Timmy voting, Sarah, Becky, everybody voting for the Democrat Party because mama vote for the Democrat Party. Let me tell you. Ain't no getting around it. Let's go ahead and move forward. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you share. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Dixie George, Mother Dixie, for donating. Shout out to Mother. Next one up. I want to go ahead here, ladies and gentlemen, and speak to you guys about Joe Rogan. Right now, Joe Rogan is being chased by the mainstream nigga news network. They hate him.
Yes.
And I believe they are put on by the Democratic Party, the DNC, because Neil Young couldn't get rid of him. The liberals tried getting rid of him. I hate Joe Rogan. You know what? I hate him. Him and his disinformation, right? And now they are using black Americans because they believe that racism is their last key to victory, right? It's their playbook. And it seems like it ain't working right now. I want to show you guys a new compilation of footage that just surfaced that liberals are passing around, thinking that this one will be the one to take down Joe Rogan. I want you guys to take a look at this. Here we go.
Your intent. when you say the N word, you're saying like it cannot be speak, it cannot be uttered. It is a sacred word.
Yeah.
It is a magic word. If you say it, Candyman will come.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's very weird. It's very weird that we've ever allowed that. It's one thing, like, you could say spick. No one's going to get mad.
Mm.
You know? Like, it's not as racially charged. You know?
Yeah.
And then there's other ones that, like, you can just get away with all day. Like Irish ones or Italian
Mick
ones.
or Guido or...
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You can call me a Guido all day. I don't give a fuck. No one cares. No one
Shank
gets
is a
mad at
tough
that.
one. They get very upset about
Shank's
Shank.
rough.
Yeah.
Gook. How about Gook? That's a rough one.
Oh, that's a really rough one.
Yeah, but the N word, you won't say it. Look at you. Say it.
Nigger.
It's a charged word.
Nothing happened.
See, but if you and this idea that you cannot look at statistics, you cannot look at facts, and in your conversation with Ezra Charles, or Ezra Klein rather, that's what I got, is that this is an ideological issue, and that it's almost like an impossible subject to breach.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even discuss the fact that certain races demonstrate low IQ, and then let's look at what could be the cause of those. Even discussing that somehow or another is so inherently racist that it must be ignored or must be silenced, and that you must first concentrate on all the various injustices that have been done to those people who have this lower IQ.
Yeah. Well, let me just take a couple of minutes to...
This gene that black Africans have, like much, it's like a proclivity to violence that they have.
MAOA gene.
Yeah. I recommend people Google it and do their own research. It's like a big debate about whether or not, but basically like what it is it's, if you think about like, kind of white European, Asian ancestors, as we kind of moved out of Africa, like aggression and violence was kind of less necessary because we were like farmers and stuff.
But
right?
God, is that really true though? I mean, you look at all the violence and murder and death that's been done by the military, and you think about how many people involved in the military are white and how many people making the decisions are white. I mean, ultimately, that's white people causing violence.
True, but
on
like
a large scale. So anyway, we can't go to there. So you got to go to one where there's Planet of the Apes, man. We're going to go see Planet of the Apes. So I look on the iPhone app, and it says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I go, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out, and we're giggling. Oh, we're going to see Planet of the Apes.
Here, Jamal. So he goes on and on. It's a compilation of him using the N-word. I think that a lot of folks right now are over the N-word. Now, there's a UFC player, UFC fighter by the name of Rashad Evans. And I want to go ahead and run his clip here. After it comes back, I want to get your take on this whole ordeal. All right. I, for one, have no problem with Joe Rogan or anybody using the N-word. I have no problem with it. And I think that there's a lot of black folks who feel just like me. And they are not getting the attention that these foolish Negroes are getting. Take a look at this here.
It's a very tough problem, that compilation of the N-word, it really, it's hard to go against that, you know what I'm saying? But, I know Joe, and I know the kind of person that Joe is, and Joe's never gave me any kind of feeling or any kind of indication that he's racist or anything like that. I believe that people just make some off-color remarks sometimes, and if you're a comedian, you do that quite a bit, and you get comfortable at doing that, and I just feel like they're not to excuse any of it, but at the same time, when you go back that far, I'm sure there can be a compilation of a lot of unfavorable things that a lot of people have said that can come back and bite them,
What do you... Wow, and I'm going to stop it right here. So there you go. Rashad Evans is saying that he doesn't believe he is racist. He knows Joe Rogan. He has hung out with Joe Rogan. He's saying that he's pretty sure that if you go into anybody's past, you're going to pull out things that are unfavorable. A lot of these people are going back 5, 20, 5, 15, 20 years, behind, and try to get somebody to get kicked off of something that they said a long time ago. What do you think about this here, sir?
Jermain, I was appalled. How dare he use the N-word? How could he use the N-word? When I think of the N-word, I look inward toward myself. And I just, that word, it means so bad. I want to cry. How could that nigga say something so niggatry? Oh, excuse me. I ain't mean to say, excuse me. I didn't mean to say that about them niggas. But everyone know nobody owns the word nigga. Nobody paid for it. When you say you own some, you better make sure you got a patent to it. Last time I checked, niggas don't have a patent to niggas. So when I hear everyone talking about he's a racist, no, he's not. If you read the context and what he was saying, it's like Jermain, what we've said for a long time ago. When you hear rap lyrics, who sits there and goes, what? Who? No. Nigga what? Nigga who? Nigga. So nigga, black folk didn't put it in songs. So nigga, man. So, hey. Or if Richard Pryor and Joe Rogan was wrong, it was 2 albums that Richard Pryor had the title nigga. So, and oh yeah, and as soon as I get this thing downloaded, it's a movie that I found called Boss Nigger, starring Fred Dancing. Fred, God, what's his name? Fred, I think he started in, he was a black hero. Boss nigga. Oh, you know I'm gonna get that. Jermain, I can't hear you. Jermain, you go. I can't hear your voice. Am I crazy? Oh, but there used to be a movie called in the 70s called Boss Nigga. A black man living in a white man's world. Boss nigga. Boss. So y'all know me. I use the word nigga. Who am I to tell somebody a word they can't use? When you start doing that, it's only a word black people can use and white people can't use it. Then you might as well be the same races that you claim you hate.
They always do that, Jamal. They always do that. Ain't nothing wrong, and I've said this on this show plenty of times. I don't care if white Americans are using the N-word. Me and Anthony Allen say it all the time. Negroes have made it fashionable to use the N-word. They will allow their white girlfriend to use the N-word. They will sit there and make millions of dollars on TV tap dancing using the N-word. So the fact of the matter that black folks are sitting there mad that somebody says the N-word that they don't like is preposterous. Most black folks don't care about it. The only reason why they jump up and act as if they're mad and upset is because they know that there's a gullible white out there, right? Somebody that looked like Barney Fife, a gullible white that looked like Martha Stewart, a gullible white out there who will buy that sob story without using common sense. And I want you white folks to understand something. Black folks say the N-word so much, it's almost like drinking water. It's like breathing air to them. So if you're sitting here crying, if you a white person out there and say, oh, Jermain, and I've gotten this before too, and I think it's outrageous. Oh, Jermain, oh, the N-word hurt my heart so badly. I can't believe you even saying that. It's a nasty word. Oh, it's so nasty. Oh, so nasty. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say that. Hurt my heart. I can't even take it. You black folks, I can't even take it. It's hurting me. If you one of them, you need to go to nigga therapy. That's where you need to go, nigga therapy, so that you can get over it. Because one thing I'm going to tell you, the black folks don't care. Last words here, sir.
Jermaine, I'm appalled by you, Jermaine. I would never say the N word.
Never.
Never. I just say nigga. and if nigga is so bad, can you imagine if they was to stop selling any album with the word nigga?
Oh man.
Matter of fact, they tried to boycott the word nigga before on shows like TNT, BET.
Yep,
the movies were so unwatchable that they had to put nigga back in.
Yep.
Black folk done made the word. We took the word and now we empowered by the word. So why are you crying every time you hear someone say it? And you know it's specific. So let me go on. I got 23 seconds. It's specific
brother.
Who said it. If it's a white liberal who done sat down and dressed up in blackface calling black folk niggas, no problem. If you a white liberal and you call Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens, Jermain, Botsio, me, Jay McCann, everybody like that, you call us house niggas, it's okay. Black folk won't say a word.
Won't say a word. But let alone you go ahead and use the N word in a situation they don't like, or you're not an approved member. Let me tell you something. They gonna come after you like crazy. They will. Moving forward.
It is crazy.
I want to go ahead and give a shout out. Somebody just donated here. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Julie Goldberg. Julie Goldberg just donated, took our challenge. Very, very, very beautiful woman. Shout out to Julie Goldberg. Says, you're the best, Jermain. Absolutely. I want to go ahead and move forward. I want to speak about a topic I spoke about yesterday, and it deals with the transgender community. Right now, there's a new term being passed around called trans species. Now,
these niggas crazy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the world is crazy right now. In the beginning of this whole transgender debacle, I said, what is stopping somebody from saying that, they're, trans animal? I would say, or trans wood or transplant. I mean, what is stopping somebody from jumping and making that leap? If somebody could say, hey, I'm a girl and I believe that I identify as a boy. I mean, what's stopping them from identifying as a plant, an inanimate object, or some sort of animal? And now we've seen the leap now. Liberals make a very huge leap with this one. There's a transgender woman who's running around saying that she's a trans animal. She is part wolf. I kid you not. I want to go ahead and run this. This came on Jesse Waters. When it come back, I want to speak about it. Make sure you share. Here we go.
I've never interviewed a wolf before. How do you identify as a wolf and become a wolf? What's the process?
So it's not really a process to become a wolf. It's more of a spiritual thing. Like I obviously I know I'm human. Like I go to work every day. I pay my taxes. You know what I mean? I do normal things. It's more of a spiritual identification. So I believe that I have the spirit of the wolf. I kind of identify as a wolf on a personal level, but in my everyday life, I also know that I'm human. So it's a little bit of a misconception how people see it, especially the audio you just played was from an interview I did way back when with, I wonder. And that one was, if it showed the whole interview, I think that would be a pretty good description.
Okay. Do you often run around in the woods the way a wolf does?
If I'm with a certain group of friends who are like-minded,
like a wolf
we
pack.
will do that to, yes, like a pack. We'll do that to get some sort of release, but it's not something I do, on a day-to-day basis or anything.
Jamal, we have this transgender woman. She's saying that she's an animal. Where does the buck stop? Jamal, where does the buck stop?
I would like to thank Julie Goldberg for her kindness and generosity. I want to thank Julie Goldberg for donating. I got a way to solve all. Are you sure it's a girl, not a guy?
It's a transgender. It's a guy who transitioned to be a woman. I ran the clip. It got discovered in the UK. It was a Good Morning Britain clip, and then now the person got brought on to Jesse Waters, and I played the first clip with the Good Morning Britain. That was yesterday, and they spoke about how they were transgender, and now you can see that the transgender woman is now claiming that they are a wolf.
Okay, Jermaine, the best way we can solve this, Jermaine, is to get a pack of wolves and put it in the stomach with her ass. And if them pack of wolves don't tear his ass up, then he know he a wolf. But if them pack of wolves tear his ass up, he know he want a wolf. There you go. Go on, get you some real get you some real wolves and get you some black forest wolves. So that way they will be able to tell
You said some black forest wolves.
Yes, get you some black forest wolves. Matter of fact, get you a female wolf.
Yup.
Got some pups. And put his ass right in them wolves. And see what them wolves light his ass up. And if he come out walking nicely and them wolves don't light his ass up, then he okay. But if them wolves take their teeth and bite into his ass, then he know he ain't no wolf.
I could tell you that.
And if they bite him in the nuts, then he gonna know he ain't no woman. And I would like to thank Brian Morris. Brian Morris, thank you for your kindness and generosity and your donation to the page through Cash App. Let them serious, Jermaine. Get them a pack of wolves and be like, there you go. And if them pack of wolves light his ass up, then he know he won't no wolf. Then if one of them just happily bite him in his testicles and rip one of his testicles off, then he won't no woman either.
Shout out to Yvonne Garrison says, I may be trans, Jamar Quavius. You know, Jamar Quavius, let me tell you something. That name going to be a top name in 2023. There's going to be a lot of folks who are going to be like, you know what, I'm going to name my kid Jamar Quavius. I'm telling y'all. You know, this whole trans stuff is out of control. I spoke about what they used to call these folks back in the day. A lot of them used to be called cross-dressers. A lot of them used to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria disorder.
And they were called crazy.
Yeah. But now they have made a special class for these folks. They have policies and legislation out there to protect these folks. So now you can't even call them crazy because these people can hit you with a hate crime now. That's how, no pun intended, crazy the world is, right? It is. It's very, very, very crazy. And we have to start pointing out the crazies. This right here is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, identifying as an animal. And the fact that liberals, they would take this very seriously. Because how can you not, if you are giving credence to somebody say, hey, I'm a biological male and I identify as a woman, you've already given credence to that thought process. How are you going to now say, you know what, we ain't going to go along with it? How are you going to say that? It doesn't make sense. Last words.
He needs Jesus. He seriously needs Jesus. That man is crazy. Like I said, you want to find out how much of a wolf he is. Send a pack of wolves in there with his hind paws. Either two things gonna happen. That male, alpha male wolf gonna rile, gonna hump him, or gonna rip him apart. So he gonna be part of the female wolf tribe, or he gonna be a female because they gonna Sergeant Sausage off.
I'm telling you, you'll see a new movement. You'll see them. Next one up here, we're gonna be speaking about Republicans. Woo! Politics, my favorite subject. The RNC censures GOP lawmakers Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. My goodness gracious. They trying to say they ain't Republicans. Let me go ahead and run it when they come back. I want to get your take on this. Adam Kinzinger says that Republicans, they're basically pussies. They don't want to stand against Trump. This is what he's saying. Here we go.
The Republican Party on Friday censured U.S. Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for joining Congress's probe of then-President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, calling the January 6th Capitol attack legitimate political discourse.
Ms. Cheney?
Cheney and Kinzinger voted to impeach Trump on a charge of incitement of insurrection after last year's deadly January 6th Capitol riot and are the only Republicans taking part in the House probe of the attack. The RNC Friday passed a resolution rebuking Cheney and Kinzinger for their involvement on the January 6th Select Committee, accusing them of participating in a Democrat-led persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse. 4 people died on January 6th, and a Capitol police officer died the next day. About 140 police officers were injured, and 4 later died by suicide. The resolution passed on a voice vote as 168 members of the RNC gathered for their winter meeting in Salt Lake City. The yes votes were overwhelming, with just a handful of nays, according to reporters at the meeting.
The president is unfit.
The statement said Cheney and Kinzinger's actions hurt Republican efforts to win back majorities in Congress, and said the RNC will immediately cease any and all support of them as party members. But it stopped short of calling for their expulsion from the party as initially proposed. Trump, who retains a strong grip over his party as November 8th midterm congressional elections draw closer, has been on the warpath against Republicans he sees as disloyal to him. Both Cheney and Kinzinger issued statements in anticipation of Friday's vote. Cheney said, quote, "The leaders of the Republican Party have made themselves willing hostages to a man who admits he tried to overturn a presidential election and suggests he would pardon January 6 defendants, some of whom have been charged with seditious conspiracy." A few Republicans, such as Senator Mitt Romney, criticized the RNC's move, tweeting, "Shame falls on a party that would censure persons of conscience who seek truth in the face of vitriol."
Wow, look at Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney had to stick his little establishment nose in it. Mitt Romney is like, it's shameful that the RNC will do this to Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. How could they? This is so preposterous. What do you think here, brother? I mean, shouldn't they have known that them acting in this manner would get them ostracized and damn near kicked out of the party? I mean, ain't this common sense? Jamal.
Number one, no Democrat ever withstood Barack Obama to his face. No Democrat ever suggested Barack Obama be impeached.
There you
Why?
go.
Because they knew what would have happened. The Democrat Party would have ran them out on a rail. Look at the Democrats who were former pro-life and against gay marriage. Look at where they're at. Oops, all of them are out.
They're
All
gone.
of them support gay marriage. All of them
They were
support
called
aborting the
bigots
child
and
to
trouted
apples.
off.
Okay, so when I hear
Sorry about
Democrats tell me about you guys, you're just following Donald Trump, but you know what? We're not following Donald Trump. We recognize there's a general, there's a good general that knows how to fight, because you GOP wouldn't. The reason why Donald Trump is so popular, you ever seen the movie George Patton with George C. Scott?
Oh yeah,
Patton. People, America was getting beat all around. We was fighting under Bernard Montgomery. We were losing. Soon as Patton came on board, he put pride back in the American soldiers. He started having discipline. You better be shaved. Your uniform better be clean. You had to be in the chow hall a certain time. He gave discipline. He gave order. And his men was willing to follow him. When they replaced him, the men was mad. That's why they tried to keep him in a limited role in Europe after the war, because they knew the Third Army, they were scared the Third Army would have rebelled.
You're correct.
And mutinied. They hate that Donald Trump, they couldn't control him. See, and here is what a lot of GOP people like to do. If you are a Republican and a Republican conservative, you're loud, you have a voice, you're strong. They try to put their arm around your shoulder and turn you into an establishment.
They do.
That's the whole purpose. Donald Trump wouldn't allow them to do that to him. Donald Trump didn't allow them to, are you going to change me? No, Donald Trump said, you going to change because the way you doing things. Why did Donald Trump win the 2016 primary? Because he didn't back down. You know what he told Joe Rogan? Stop apologizing. They're going to still come from blood.
Yep, and he already apologized. Gosh darn it.
Until Republicans realize we don't want their backroom sitting. We're all friends. To my friend who's a Democratic colleague, and he just called you a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, and a Nazi. Liz, I'm glad the Republican Party censored them, and they're going to lose come midterms.
Absolutely. You know, Adam Kinzinger and the rest of these phonies are just playing the game right now. They are. I believe that they were chosen by the establishment and also some other Democrat officials for them to create what I call a mutiny, right? They want to create a divide in the Republican Party. That's what they want to do. I want people to understand that. That's why you're starting to see people like Mike Pence, right? Former VP, Chris Christie, Dusty Crusty, Mitch McConnell, who we about to speak about tonight, start backing the narrative that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger have on this quote-unquote January 6th insurrection, right? They say violent insurrection. These two knuckleheads should have known that behaving in this way, no matter if they believe they were right or not, would get them kicked out, would get them censored. They should have already known this. One thing that I can give a hat tip to the Democrats with is that they're very loyal, and if anybody, gets out of bounds, gets out of line, they don't tolerate it. They don't at all. As a matter of fact, they bombard that person. They make that person an example. I want folks to understand that. As a Democrat, you can't go against your leader. Just like Jamal was just saying with the Democrats and Barack Obama. Do you think there would be a Democrat to stand up against Barack Obama and all the hell that he was bringing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because if they had done it as forcefully as they're doing to, President Trump right now, they would be having their ass in a concrete jail or at home with no lights on. That's how evil the Democrats are.
Yep.
Very evil. They don't tolerate folks who are defecting. They don't at all. And they don't treat you well when you try to come back. Last words here, sir.
Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney. They thought that they could step up, take what Donald Trump had built with the Republican Party and use it for their own. That's what the establishment thought they were going to do. The establishment thought they could take what Donald Trump built and go back to games as usual. People were sick and tired of it. Liz Cheney, they got exactly what they deserved out of there. Because you cannot change America and win America back with this, let's just make a deal. No, it is communists and socialists versus patriots and Americans. That's the board. You cannot reason with the socialists. You cannot reason with the patriot. You cannot reason with a socialist, and patriots should not try to reason with them. They hate you. They hate me. They want us dead.
You ain't lying about that. They want us dead very fast. They don't like our thinking. They don't like any good influence. They want the influence of the Democrats. They want the influence of the communists. Let's go ahead and move forward. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share. Next one up here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to go ahead and speak about former RNC chairman Michael Steele. All right. Michael Steele is saying a lot right now. He's going against, it seemed like, Jamal, it seemed like right now, the establishment is just looking for, rhinos to start stepping up and speaking. I haven't heard, or seen so many rhinos speaking out right now before like this. They're coming out of the woodworks and they're all speaking out. It's just crazy to me. Where were you guys a year ago? Where were all these rhinos even 6 months ago? Where were you guys? All of a sudden now you guys are coming out of the woodwork saying how bad the Republican Party is now and how Donald Trump is so bad. It's just blowing my mind. It really is. And it should let everybody know that these people are fakers. They were faking for the whole time. It should let you know. Here we go. RNC chairman, former chairman, Michael Steele said that my party just declared itself anti-democratic by going along with what he calls false election claims by Donald Trump. Take a look.
CDC doesn't have the worst messaging problem this week, Michael Steele. That's the Republican Party. We were talking yesterday to Republican senators about the RNC's censure of Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and I can tell you, Republicans did not want to talk about it. Senators thought it was a terrible idea. They thought it was backward looking. Is this a problem of reaping and sowing for Republicans who wouldn't take the Trump Band-Aid off much earlier?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm sorry you don't want to talk about it, but baby, you got to talk about it. Yep. All right. You don't get to hide behind your senatorial privilege of just blowing off the press. No, your party, my party, our party just declared itself anti-democratic by putting on the record that they thought what happened on January 6th was legitimate political protest. And that's just not right. So, yeah, I'm sorry, you got to answer. You got to answer the question, do you agree with that? And if you don't, then you need to shake the party down and get it off of this particular footing if you think you're going to be a governing majority in the future. It's not just about winning the election in 2020. That's great. But then what? What are we going back to? If Trumpism is the id inside this party, What does that say for how we govern in 23, 4, 5, et cetera? So, yeah, you got to own the moment. You don't get to walk away from it, senators, all of you, whether you're retiring or not. You own the moment. All of us out here taking the heat. You need to take it, too.
So Michael Steele, Jamal, is coming out very hard here. Very, very, very hard. And he's basically saying that, the Republicans have chosen to take the side of quote-unquote tyranny. This is what he's saying. Going against the democratic nature that we have in our country. This is what he's saying here, Jamal. He's very, very forcefully saying this, and he's basically saying that Republicans need to choose, right? They need to make a divide, a division, and he's, in a sense, calling for that, Jamal. What do you think about this? This is quite remarkable here that so many rhinos are coming out of the woodworks now. They must have went to some meeting and it said, hey, you know what? Today's the day. Everybody come out. What do you think? Haters gonna hate. They gonna hate.
This is why I say January the 6th, the day American citizens who were mostly peaceful protesting
absolutely
accidentally went into an unposted restricted area. Today, a federal judge and a U.S. attorney gave a man 7 years for killing somebody in the George Floyd riots. They went up to a pawn shop. And where the man was at, he stayed in the pawn shop trying to defend it, and they killed him. Burnt him alive inside that pawn shop he was defending in Minneapolis. They said because it was a protest and a riot, nothing should happen. That man only got 7 years. He got 10 years, and he's going to do 3 of that on probation because they said he wasn't a danger. He wasn't a risk. And he had a criminal record of burglary, violent assaults. That's what they did for those rioters and looters for Black Lives Matter. But for people who came to the Capitol peacefully protested, the only person was killed was Ashley Babbitt, and she was killed unharmed. Every last one of those from the January 6th, mostly peaceful protests where American citizens accidentally went into an unrestricted posted area, all of them have had the book thrown at them, and they have been prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Today, the one who they convicted for murder in the federal courts in Minneapolis only got 7 years for first-degree murder, killing a man. He knew he was inside. He in there said it on tape. He was going to kill him, said he was going to burn him MF down.
Yep.
He only got 7 years. So this is why people like me and other Republicans are like, screw it. The January 6th mostly peaceful protests, we support it.
And I understand it. The Democrats never spoke about the 76 days of hell in the summer where BLM and these other communist organizations were marching through cities and burning them down. They kept their mouth shut about it. And as a matter of fact, their vice president put a fund together to bail folks out who were doing it. So I don't have any how can I say sympathy for what they're talking about, because what they're talking about seems real fraudish to me. They're not putting out what the real truth is. And the way these folks are, Michael Steele, the rest of these rhinos who are coming out, these people just want to maintain the old order. You know what I'm talking about, Jamal, right?
Yes.
Where, they hit you with a finesse game with socialism and communism, tell you not to ask, basically not to, in a sense, ask for certain legislation that will help your personal life. These old rhinos want business as usual. And business as usual is making tons of money and putting it in their pocket and telling us that they can't help the American folks while they send money to Pakistan for gender studies. This is the Republican Party. And Donald Trump was a change from that, because he actually cared about the people. He actually, in a sense, wanted legislation that will help people in their own personal life, right? Like getting that gosh darn border fixed. No matter what you want to tell me, getting that border fixed will impact your personal life directly and indirectly. There's so many things that can happen if we pick the right folks. And the rhinos, people like Michael Steele, they don't want that to happen at all, Jamal. They don't. They want the old order. They want the old way of doing things. And the old way of doing things was real nice, where they capitulate to the Democrats, right? And then they line their pockets up with cash. Last words.
You know what? These Republicans who are sitting here and trying their best to look like they're oh so good, they're the good Republicans. They're just trying to stand up for democracy. You're just trying to save the Republican Party. Shut up. The Republican Party don't want you. Michael Steele, of all people, I'll be honest, Michael Steele, of all people, Michael Steele was sat there and he was down there in Las Vegas spending money like the Republican money was his money.
There you go.
People forgot Michael Steele was hired. Barack Obama won president 2008. Republicans got Michael Steele like, hey, Michael Steele, that nigga around there spending money on strippers, living it up in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
So when you see people like him speaking out against President Trump, thank God. Because I sure don't want him speaking for him.
You ain't lying about that. People forget about that. Michael Steele, he was out there spending money on strippers, running around. Michael Steele was also a good friend of Barack Obama. Let's not forget that, Jamal. As folks don't know, Michael Steele, Barack Obama, they tight. They absolutely are. Let's go ahead and move forward. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you do share. Next one up here, Jamal. We need to speak about this guy, Chris Christie. He came out the other day and supported Mike Pence in his public rebuke of Trump. I want you guys to take a look at this. Another rhino. Now, there's some people who hit me up who said, hey, Jermain, Chris Christie's not a rhino. He just has a different outlook. And I said, that outlook looked kind of rhino-ish. Let me take a look at this. Here we go.
I think that the actions the vice president took on January 6th spoke loudly, and I'm glad he's finally put words to it. I don't know why it took him so long, but I'm glad that he did. And let's face it, let's call this what it is. January 6th was a riot that was incited by Donald Trump in an effort to intimidate Mike Pence and the Congress into doing exactly what he said in his own words last week, overturn the election. Now, he's tried to do a cleanup on aisle one here and correcting that stuff, but it's not going to change. He actually told the truth by accident. He wanted the election to be overturned.
Bow. So Chris Christie says, Jamal, that January 6th, now you said it was a mostly peaceful protest, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I would agree as well. You know, I didn't see, guns. I didn't see, all that. But what he said, it was a violent riot. This is what he said. And he's saying that, he agrees with Pence. Pence made the right call. And he says that Trump, basically told on himself that he wanted Pence to overturn the election. He wanted to overturn the election. What do you think?
You know what? Donald Trump at the time, and as the law states, the vice president has to either confirm it or not. Well, that's pretty clear if he has to confirm or not. What does the wording of that law says when it comes to the vice president and affirming these states what they did? If it says basically he has to affirm, he has to do anything saying where he have to put his name with it, then yes, he has a right basically by the law to say, y'all need to investigate and reduce. We need to look at this right here. Now, has it been done? No. But Democrats led every type of protest vote, every type of objection to Donald Trump presidency. I don't want to get too into it. I want to get you in trouble.
You save it if you have to. We about to do the Rumble special.
Okay. I'll save it for Rumble. Okay. I'll save it for Rumble.
Absolutely. So Chris Christie, burger eating Chris Christie. I heard Chris Christie has never found a burger he didn't like. I believe that is the rumor going around town. Chris Christie is a rhino. I don't care what anybody's telling me. Chris Christie is showing those rhino features right now. He's out here retorting the same establishment line that is coming from the RNC and that is coming from the Democrats. He's running the same playbook. He's a very evil man. He's part of the division. And I think that most Republican voters now have to choose because the establishment is making it very clear that they're coming out against President Trump. And while they come out against President Trump, you know what the other side is doing? Making up a narrative to try to put him in jail. This is how evil they are. You know that, right, Jamal?
Yes.
They're that evil. The RNC right now is taking this position. Now, Jamal, I want to go ahead and shoot ahead to our next video because this goes along with what we're talking about with Chris Christie. Mitch McConnell, all right? He came out today in a press conference. Another one, let me tell you. He says that January 6th was a violent insurrection after a legitimate election. And our nation needs to see better. I want you to understand, Jamal, right now. The RNC is stepping up and they're drawing a line between what I call the real American citizen, right? Which we are, versus the upper class Republican establishment. That's what they're doing. Because we don't think like them, Jamal. They have a different way of thinking of capitulating and lining pockets. We want to actually make sure our children see a brighter future. I want you guys to take a look at this. Mitch McConnell. Dusty, crusty Mitch. He a loser. Out of control. Here we go.
Is it appropriate for the Republican National Committee to censure 2 sitting members of Congress and also use the words legitimate political discourse in talking about January 6th?
Well, let me give you my view of what happened January the 6th. And we're here. We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what it was. With regard to the suggestion that the RNC should be in the business of picking and choosing Republicans who ought to be supported, traditionally the view of the National Party committees is that we support all members of our party, regardless of their positions on some issues.
Do you have confidence in her, Ronna McDaniel, chairwoman of the committee?
I do, but the issue is whether or not the RNC should be sort of singling out members of our party who may have different views from the majority. That's not the job of the RNC.
Bow. So, Mitch McConnell, man, damn, Mitch McConnell, he has made a statement very clear, and trust me, it's the establishment statement.
Yes,
he didn't, he didn't buckle, he didn't stutter, right? He was quite upfront and quite frank. He says that January 6th was a violent insurrection that was trying to stop a legitimate election in a peaceful transfer. This is what he's saying. Woo! When he said all that, Jamal, I was like, man, what do you think about that, Jamal? I mean, that is the RNC's basic, that's their line. How can they then go ahead and support Donald Trump in 2024 speaking like this?
Easy.
How does this even work? Can I ask you? It's just a common question. How does the RNC have this type of thought process, this line and this statement, and then say, you know what, we will go ahead and support Donald Trump in 2024? How does this work?
I would like to thank Jose Marquez for his kindness and generosity. Thank you, Jose, for your donation to Cash App. Easy. The Republicans are seeing that they are on the chopping block. Either you march with us or you're going to get marched out. Mitch McConnell don't like it that the base. See, here's the thing about, I will say, both Democrat and Republicans. The Democrats thought by giving their base a little bit here and a little bit there, they shut up, they be satisfied until the next grievance. Republicans don't hardly get anything for our votes, turn it out.
You ain't lying.
And so what ended up happening was Donald Trump got elected. He kept his promises. Donald Trump is a threat to not just the Democrats and the Republicans, when the reason you are hating him and don't like him is because he tried to keep his promises. He promised to build a wall, promised to deport, and they kept fighting him because they didn't want him to do his promises. See, Donald Trump showed you can do what you promise people if you want to. And that's what they didn't like. They didn't like that. They didn't like that Donald Trump kept his promises. Mitch McConnell is mad that the Republican base is throwing out rhinos like him.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I do believe Mitch McConnell was running a race this year. He may not win it. He probably will win it by 1%. It'll be so close.
He got that RNC the establishment cash.
And he also raises money pretty good. He raises money, but
he ain't worried. That's why he's speaking so strong.
Because he's worried.
He ain't worried about his position.
That they're gonna replace him. Because they're not satisfied. In 2008, 2009, 2010.
Then how come he ain't kissing? How come he ain't following the line with the other Republicans? This is what the Democrats are saying. The Democrats are saying that these folks here are scared, Jamal. So they're not stepping up to Donald Trump and saying this. But for me, I don't think Mitch McConnell's scared at all. He's establishment-backed favorite. He has the establishment cash. I don't see. That's why he's not going along and saying, you know what, I support Donald Trump, or I don't see it this way. He's going along with the narrative. He's going along with Mike Pence and Chris Christie. Why? So I don't see him being scared about him losing his position, quite frankly. I think that he's scared of losing the influence of the Republican Party to a man that he hates. What do you think about that?
They're scared to lose power because Donald Trump showed them up. He showed that when you promise the base, when you promise the American people something, you supposed to do it. You supposed to come through. And that's what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump came through. He made promises. He did it. Donald Trump came through. They don't like that. They hate that he came through on his promises. So Mitch see that as a threat because Mitch promised you 10 things and only give you 1.5.
If
2
that,
if you're lucky.
If that.
Donald Trump promised you 10 things.
You might get
and
8.
It took the Supreme Court, federal judges, and everything to stop him from doing the 10 because he was producing. He was doing what he said, and they don't like it. Donald Trump embarrassed them. He humiliated them.
You ain't lying about that. It just shows you that when it comes to working in Congress, you can get things done. It's just that folks out there don't want to do it. Both parties, in a sense, are part of the same monster. And we have to be able to understand the beast of the monster and break off the wings, and I think that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's breaking off the wing. He's showing you that, hey, these people that say that they're not a part of the monster, but look at them, they're a part of the monster, right? The swamp creatures, the deep state. These people aren't trying to do the right thing and, do things that will be beneficial for everybody. They're lining up their pockets. And they're also creating rogue groups. The FBI, the CIA, the NSA. I've been saying this for years. These people run the country. They run around, do whatever they want. You can see these people killing people right and left. You can see them even at our rallies, right? Look at January 6th. Look at how many folks in the FBI were at the January 6th, quote unquote, violent insurrection, right? How come they're not going after them? There's it blows my mind. So we have to be cognizant of it. Our surveillance, institutions, NSA, FBI, these folks, not all of them are bad, but mostly the top folks are. And they're doing things that are not good in our nation. So we just need to be cognizant of it. Let's go ahead and move forward. I want to go ahead here, brother, and lastly speak about Georgia DA. And this will be our last one before we move on to Rumble and speak about our sensitive topics here. All right, so I'm just letting folks know if you want to migrate over there, you can right now or whenever you feel like it. The Georgia DA, black woman, and let me tell you something. She sound real ruthless. She says that she gonna get Trump. That's what she's saying. She's also laying out how she's going to get Trump. This is what she's saying. Let me tell you something. She ain't got no hair hat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm scared. She ain't got no hair hat on her. Usually they got a hair hat. Once they have the hair hat, I know they ain't got no common sense. They ain't got no logic. She don't got a hair hat. I'm scared. Let me run this when it come back. We gonna speak about this black woman. Jamal, I need you to study her. You let me know. Here we go.
In a new interview with CNN, the Georgia prosecutor leading a probe of the former president's efforts to overturn the election there is pushing back on his lawyer's attempts to derail the investigation. She's also offering hints about the next steps she may take in her attempt to uncover whether anything criminal occurred after he narrowly lost the state to President Biden. CNN's Sarah Murray has the interview and the story.
The Atlanta area district attorney investigating Donald Trump says as soon as she has a special grand jury seated in May, she'll start firing off subpoenas.
Most of them will probably start to come in a heavier flow, for lack of a better word, in June and later months. But we will certainly start to do some in May.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis says she isn't worried about Trump working to slow her probe into his efforts to overturn Georgia's election results in 2020.
Are you worried that former President Trump could somehow be able to avoid, delay, what's going on with your investigation?
No.
Why is that? What gives you that confidence?
This is a criminal investigation. We're not here playing a game. I plan to use the power of the law. We are all citizens. Mr. Trump, just as every other American citizen, is entitled to dignity. He's entitled to be treated fairly. He will be treated fairly in this jurisdiction, but I plan to do my job. And my job is to make sure that we get the evidence that gives us the truth. I'm not concerned at all about games to delay this.
And she cast doubt on whether Trump's oft-used argument that he can't be prosecuted for actions while president will protect him in Georgia.
I don't think that protection will prevent a prosecution if that becomes necessary in this state case.
Willis has already met with Trump's attorneys twice about her plans to move the investigation forward.
For instance, last calendar year I met with them and I assured them what I knew. We would not bring forth an indictment in the 2021 year. I met with them at the very end of 2021 to tell them that I would be moving forward, not necessarily with an indictment, but with the next step of an investigation.
Willis launched her investigation nearly a year ago, after an hour-long recording went public of Trump pressing Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find the votes for Trump to win Georgia.
All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Last month, in her request for a special grand jury, she told the court she had reasonable probability of criminal disruptions around the 2020 election.
You and I have listened to that phone call, but also I have the benefit of also having talked to a lot of witnesses and probably having read more on this than most people would like to.
She's digging into Trump's actions as well as those of his allies, including former attorney Rudy Giuliani, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, witnesses she may subpoena as part of her probe.
I imagine that we're going to be issuing subpoenas to a lot of people and that all of them are not going to welcome our invitation to come speak with us.
She hopes to make a charging decision by the end of 2022. We sat down with Willis in an Atlanta hotel as her office was under lockdown from a possible security threat at the Fulton County Courthouse. Willis was already on high alert after Trump took aim at her and other prosecutors during a rally.
I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta.
After those comments, Willis asked the FBI for help assessing potential security deficiencies and sharing intelligence on potential threats.
I don't want to pretend like I didn't hear what I heard. It would be just crazy for me to not pay attention to that. So I wanted to make sure that they were also paying attention.
And Sarah Murray joins us now. Terrific report, Sarah.
But,
What did District Attorney Willis tell
right
you
here. So,
about Georgia's
brother,
Secretary?
This black woman, she's saying she's there and there. She's not playing any games. OMG, hold on. Woo! She said she ain't playing any games, Jamal. She also said that she's there to do a job, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear that? A job. And her job is to get evidence that supports their claim. Do you understand? So they're on a fishing expedition. They don't even know what the heck went on, but they have been given a narrative, and they are looking for evidence that will support that narrative. That's what's going on here, Jamal. And it looks like she has a personal vendetta with President Trump. You know,
she does.
It seem like doesn't it seem like that? Like, you know, she's like a pit bull. Like, so you know, she has a personal vendetta. They showed a clip of President Trump speaking about him speaking about the Georgia prosecutors and stuff like this, and all of a sudden, they reference that to her, and she's like, it's almost like it got her, energized by hearing that. You get what I'm saying? You know how black women love to argue,
fuss, and
I swear to goodness, they'll argue with you to death. What do you think, Jamal?
This right here shows you the difference between Democrats and Republicans. When the last time you seen somebody bring charges against Hunter Biden, except in Arkansas? When the last time you seen Republicans put charges and place charges on Hunter Biden and others? They don't. Because Republicans are the ones who are always trying to restore the nation. Republicans are always trying to restore the nation. Always. They just want to restore the nation. They just want to be friends. They want the Democrat Party to understand that they're looking out for the nation, while Democrats are destroying it. This just goes to show you, prosecutor discretion, huh? Now, when a prosecutor does this okay. But if it had been a white person doing this to a black candidate, what about Warren? Remember Warnick, the senator?
Yep.
He slapped his baby mama around.
Yep.
His child's mother.
Choke slam.
Nothing done. Remember Keith Ellison?
Absolutely. Choke slam. The two chokers.
Nothing happened. Menendez, senator of New Jersey. There's some Republican
there you go, another one.
Counties. This man was trafficking young girls, 14 and 15.
Absolutely.
He was doing it. You know, he was a Jeff Epstein too. Nothing happened. Republicans, well, we got to do the integrity. We got to worry about the integrity of the office. We are not going to use this office for political reasons. And Democrats, if it's an office, it's a power. They are trying to stop Donald Trump from running in 2024. Where is the so-called Secretary of State for Georgia? He said he didn't feel threatened. So then he should say, I wasn't threatened. I don't know what this lady talking about. She should want to witch hunt. Where's the Attorney General? No, you're not going to do this. No, you're not. Where's the governor?
Governor probably for it too. That's why
because Donald Trump is backing his primary opponent, Mr. Perdue.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Republicans aren't biting back at Democrats. They aren't putting Democrat family members, Democrat candidates through the same hell they putting us.
You ain't lying about that. You ain't lying about that, let me tell you. It's just crazy to me. It really is. She sat over here and ran this game. But what she did, in a sense, is just let you know what they're into, which is fishing. They don't know what happened. They just are fishing, right? They just want to look. They want to see whatever evidence they can find to fit their narrative, and it's not right. It's not right at all. And when it comes down to it, they just don't want the man to run.
That's basically it. They don't want him to run.
If the man said, you know what, I ain't gonna run, I guarantee you a lot of these investigations dry up. I guarantee a lot of, not all of them, but I guarantee a lot of them will. They'll definitely dry up because the motivation to get him to stop is, him running. So if he stops, a lot of this motivation will go down. That's why I believe, not all of them, because I know some folks, they'll chase you to hell 2 times, let me tell you. But that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is our show. I want to thank everybody. We are now moving to Rumble. We have 2 sensitive topics we want to speak about on there. So I'm going to drop this link here. Let me go ahead and grab it. It's getting kind of late, too. A brother getting tired. Hey, man, it's almost midnight here.
It's midnight here.
Yeah, let me go ahead and drop this link here. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share. Here's the Rumble link. I'm going to drop it here, and I'm going to drop it on YouTube as well here. Let me go ahead and drop that. And bingo bango. That's the link. Now, if you want to continue with us, go ahead and click that link and subscribe. All right? We have 2 topics I'm sure that you guys will want to hear. All right? All right. So I'm going to let you guys go. I want to thank everybody who came to watch the full show. I want to thank you. Jamal, I know you want to thank them as well.
I want to thank everybody, of course, on YouTube and Facebook for coming out tonight. But as you all know, it's time to go over to Rumble so we can talk about some subjects that could get Jermain page taken down, because it's talking about the truth of YouTube. And, of course, Facebook wants to demonize and not have said.
Absolutely. Links have been dropped. We shall see you guys next week. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow, but us together will be together next week.